All right, so for this problem, let's look at the value. So how much is your interest rate? No, I copied the question. So when you found the payment, interest rate is 8%. Very good. Interest is 8%. The order for this looks slightly, oh no, the order is there. Right. What else do we know? Present value is equal to 40,000. Excellent. N is equal to 5. Very good. Future value is 0. Working for payment. Excellent. So if you use this, payment is equal to rate, comma, N, comma, present value, comma, future value of 0, right? 10,018. So that's your payment, right? I'm going to make one slight adjustment because we're going to need this number. I'm going to just put a negative on top of this because I'm going to use the same number for the amortization schedule. I just want it to be positive. So if you missed it, I just added a negative sign in front of payment to make it positive, right? Sounds good? Okay. So when you have your amortization schedule, these are the things. So we have time, we have 5 payments. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because we just have 5 payments. Okay. So let's start with that. So for your amortization schedule, for each of the period, you're going to have how much of the outstanding principal is outstanding at the beginning of the year or beginning of the period. How much is that fixed payment that you made? So this is the amount that's recurring. And then how much of that payment went towards interest and how much of that went towards your principal? And then after paying the principal at the end of the year, at the end of the period, how much is your outstanding loan? Does that make sense? So we just started. How much is our outstanding loan for the first year? You just received the car. How much is your outstanding loan? 40,000. Excellent. So beginning balance is equal to this 40,000, right? So we got the beginning balance. All right, next we have payment. And this is the same recurring payment that we are making, right? So how much is the payment for the first year? You already solved for this. Very good, Kimberly. So 10,018. So it's equal to this payment over here, 10,018. Okay. Now interest, what do we pay interest on? It says that your interest is 8%. What do you pay interest on? Think about it. You just took a loan. What are you paying the interest on? Very good. You're paying interest on the principal amount. However, how much ever is outstanding on the beginning of the year or the beginning of the period, we're paying interest on that, right? So our interest is going to be equal to this 40,000. How much is your balance at the beginning of the year? Like what is the balance outstanding times the interest rate, 8%. Okay, so balance outstanding times 8%. So 3,200. So you paid 10,018, 3,200 of that went towards interest. Then how much went towards the principal? Right, 3,200 went towards interest. Very good, Kimberly. How did you find that? Excellent. So if 3,000 of this 10,018 went towards interest, that means the remaining must have gone towards your principal payment, right? So towards your principal, you paid 10,018, but 3,200 went towards interest. So that means 6,818 went towards principal payment. Is that clear? Right, I can see some nod. Okay. So what's our ending balance then? We paid 6,818 towards principal. That means at the end of the year, how much should our balance be? Right, take some time. We paid 6,818 towards our principal. So at the end, Islin says, or Kimberly and Islin, 33,181. How did you find that? Jaw KG. Okay, nice. So ending balance, this is now, so I'm guessing from the 40,000, that was our beginning balance. We paid out principal of 6,808. Thank you, Tom and Islin. Is that clear? That gave us our 33,181. Okay. So let's look at this. Our beginning is how much was outstanding at the beginning of the year. Payment is the same payment that we're going to be making. Interest is interest rate times whatever your interest rate is times your beginning balance. Okay. Principal payment is 6,008. Principal payment is the difference between how much you paid and how much of that went towards interest. And then ending balance is how much your outstanding balance was minus how much of that you paid towards principal. Okay. All right. So next period, how much is your outstanding amount? Next period forward. So now you are in year 2. Very good. 33,181. So it's the same as our balance the period before. Right? Okay. If you have this, you can unhide it. So select 10 and 12. Yes, Mao. Unhide that and then you can see. So this is the previous end balance. Payment is the same recurring payment. So there is no formula for that. Beginning balance is equal to interest times beginning balance. Principal is payment minus interest payment. And then end is beginning balance minus principal payment. Okay. If you're trying to unhide it, so select these two, 10 and I think 10 and 12 for your case, and then right click, unhide. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So again, next year, our payments are going to be the same, 10,818. So they're the same as this, 10,1826. Interest is going to be equal to now this new balance times the 8%. Okay, you don't have to solve for it, I'll solve it with you. Principal payment is payment minus interest payment. So we paid 10,018, 2,654 went towards interest, right? Ending balance is equal to beginning balance minus your principal payment. Okay. If this is 5 years, I can solve for each one of them separately. It's going to take a few minutes, but that's it. Well, what if this was for 60 periods, right? Or what if this was not for a card, that's for a mortgage, for a 30-year loan? I mean, it's a lot of work to solve for each one of them separately, right? Okay, so let's try to see if we can solve them all at once. So we know that previous balance is equal to whatever we have there. All right. So next year it should be equal to the one before that. So it follows a pattern. So if it moves this way, then it's all the previous ones, right? So this one, what you can do is select here, drag it down. It's going to look weird for now. Okay. Actually, let me just drag one down and then I'll show you the rest. I don't know what he's up to. Okay. Let me just drag this down. Okay, so this is now picking whatever was the year before. This, for instance, this has to be constant at this payment, right, that you have. So what we can do is, if we drag this, it's going to pick the next cell, right? Is there a way around it? For those of you who have used Excel before? If I want the same cell to be selected even when I'm dragging it down?
Can insert dollar signs between the number and letter.
Very good. So what you can do is, I like to call it, you can bling it. So you put a dollar sign before your row and a dollar sign before your column. Right? Very good, Tom. Right? So use the dollar signs. So what this does is now, whatever I select, however farther I go, it's always going to pick the same cell, E2. Right? So it's called absolute referencing if we want to use the technical term. I like to say blinging it. If you want shortcuts, what you can do is after you have selected it, so like this, you can put the function key on and then select F4, right? So it does that. So there's many different ways that you can console, but for our case, we're going to fix the entire cell, so dollar sign before both of them, before E and before 2. All right, this has to be whatever you have as your beginning balance times the interest rate. Okay, can I drag this down? If I drag this down, it picks this, which is fine, but it picks the next cell after that. So which one do we have to use absolute referencing for, or which one do we have to bling? We just have to keep C3, very good. We just want the interest to be there. We don't want the interest to move, but we want the beginning balance to move. So over here, C2 actually, but you couldn't see the cell. So we want to just fix this. So you can select it, F4. Make sure the function key is on. So now if we drag this down, it's C14 times the interest rate. Okay, excellent job, C2. All right, principal payment. This we want to move at the same pattern. So payment minus interest, payment minus interest. So this you can just drag down. Same thing here. We want for every period the beginning balance minus the payment for that, principal payment for that period. So this we can also drag it down so that it moves in the same direction. Okay, it's going to look strange for a minute now, but I can drag all of this down, but it will look strange till I hit the last cell. So there you go. Right? So that's yours. So now if you're solving it for 360, 120, whatever have you, you can just use that instead. Sounds good? Good thing for you, you're going to have this video, unlike my other students previously, so you can go back and refer to this. Just, if it's the Excel part, you can figure it out. We can figure it out later. Just a few things to notice. Look at your interest payment. What is happening over time with the interest payment? So from time period 1 to 5, it decreases. And then what happens with our principal payments? It goes up, right? Okay, can someone tell me why? Why are we paying less and less in interest over time? Excellent, Kimberly. Paige, you owe less every year. The balance is decreasing. Excellent. Our previous balances are decreasing. As that is decreasing, how much we owe in principal, that is also decreasing, right? So if you are going, why are these important? Things that you should know. Initial years, you will see that, hey, I paid $20,000 towards my loan, right? But what you actually pay towards your loan, this doesn't show you the cumulative principal, but what you have actually paid towards your loan is equal to 40,000 minus, even though you paid 20,000, you technically just paid 14,000 of that towards principal. So you'll still have $25,000 outstanding after the second year, right? So It feels like it should be 20,000, but there is a breakdown for the interest and the principal of how much of that actually went towards the interest. Sorry, went towards the principal.